Hey everyone, Ivy League Gaming here, and today we're playing Dragonheir Silent Gods. For today's video, I have a special guest, Jay Giggs. Oh, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So for today, yeah, my special guest here. For one, I've known of you for forever from Raid. Like a lot of
hmm
us, we come from other games, or we played a lot of gachas, and well, here we are. And I want to hear your experience. I want to kind of pick your brain and your thoughts as someone who's a newer player, right? You're pretty new into your account.
Yeah, I'm very new. I know very little about what I'm doing in any direction right now.
And so for your Dragonheir content, you're posting on your Raid channel, right? Is that the
hmm
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. I'll be sure to link that below. You also play Watcher of Realms and have a special channel for that.
Yep.
And a comedy kind of chill casual channel too, right? You still posting there
Yeah, I do.
too?
I've got a lot of channels, yeah.
I do too, but I never keep up with them. Oh
Yeah, it's
god.
hard. It's hard to
It
keep up with
is.
them all.
All right, so I found you through Raid, but you played a lot of stuff before that, right? I think you're a Summoner's War OG, right?
Yep. Yep, I've started Summoner's War about a year after it came out, so back in like 2014, I think.
Oh
Long
wow.
time ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And was Raid your next bigger, I guess, gotcha after that, or how did you find Raid?
Yeah, I think I definitely played several other ones, but Raid's probably the most popular one that I moved to. And I think I saw a Raid commercial, I want to say on TV, or maybe I was watching YouTube because they were doing heavy ads for a while on YouTube. And I saw that really early on and thought, this is a good opportunity. The game looks really good. I already know how to play it because of Summoner's War. So I immediately went into my office and started recording some videos for it, and I thought maybe I can get ahead of the curve a little bit here. But yeah, I think it was a YouTube ad.
And you're like me in the sense of we've played a lot of the in between Raid, Summoner's War type copy games, right? We've played them all. Like I think you've played Awakened
Yeah.
Chaos, Sarah. Summoner's
hmm
Glory. We played Summoner's Glory.
Summoner's Glory.
But you know what? The one thing that like a lot of those games kind of lacked, Infinite Magic Raid, even there's so many. Like they, not many of them have this level of graphics, which I think Raid players always wanted. Like that was their thing, right? Like the graphics, but the graphics suck. Oh, it's just a Raid copy, but the graphics suck. Like people like to compare it, but now I think Raid has real competition in the sense
hmm
of the different styles of gameplay and even better graphics in a lot of cases.
Yeah,
I think in Dragonair has insane graphics. So is that
insane.
something that like interested you at all in this game? Did like the graphics grab you right away?
The graphics are fantastic. It's definitely something I noticed. I think coming from Summoner's War, I was never much of a graphics snob, so to
Oh,
speak.
that's fair.
Um,
Yeah, different
Because
style.
yeah, while I love the art style, it's not. A lot of people want that realism, that realistic
Mm-hmm.
looking, and that's why I think part of why Raid was so successful. And yeah, these developers are finally figuring out that that's mandatory. It doesn't matter how good your game is. If it doesn't look good, people don't want to play it. So Watcher of Realms figured it out, and
Yeah.
Dragonair has nailed it. Their graphics are. It looks like console. It's insane.
So what? How did you find Dragonair, or like what got you started? Was it the spot? Was it a sponsorship that got you started, or did you know about it before then, or how did you kind of come across it?
I've known about it for a while, and I've had a lot of people in my audience ask me to play it, but I just didn't have time to justify
Yeah.
to give it. Um, and then the sponsorship came through, and I was like, well, I can now make that work because I'm not sacrificing valuable time for it. So yeah, I've known about it for a while. I've seen a few. I've watched your videos on it, so I've been aware of it for a while. People really talk highly of it, but again, I just never had the time to justify giving it until it became official, I guess.
That's fair. There's so many games that I want to play that always are coming out, and I'm at the point where I just can't anymore. Like I'm like unless I get a
Yeah,
sponsorship for it, I can't do it. For
yeah,
some cases, like for me, I actually found Dragonair not through a sponsorship. I reached out to them. Well, they had reached out to me forever ago, like June of a year and a half ago. Um, saying that they were doing a beta or whatever, and I was like, oh, I don't have time, I'm sorry. And then I saw people post about it, and I was all like, wait, I see people posting, can I get in on that? I want to play it. I want to play. And they're like, okay, yeah, of course, come on in. Content creator program is great, blah, 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 all this stuff. So I started this game out of just genuinely enjoying it and being curious about it versus starting like Watcher. I started with a sponsorship, but Dragonheir I started out of my own push as well. So it's kind of fun. I mean, I love it when we could find a sponsorship though that really does line up with our core audience, our style, our in a game it's fun to play. Are you
Yeah.
are you enjoying Dragonheir so far? Or what are your initial thoughts?
I am enjoying it a lot. I feel out of my element, I guess, because there's so much new stuff, and while it's the same genre as a lot of the games I'm familiar with, they have a lot of different spins on a lot of the systems and mechanics. So I'm actually really enjoying not just stepping into the game and knowing, feeling like I know
That's
most of it.
true. It's a new
It's
challenge.
kind of fun. Yeah, it's kind of fun to be a noob and have to relearn all this stuff. So I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I'm having a really good time
Good.
playing it.
All right. And I guess as far as your audience, have you gotten some interest? Do you think it's appealing to like to the raid community pretty well still, or how have you
Mhm.
seen feedback? Cuz I've definitely seen mixed feedback. We can't lie. Like there's some things about this game that are a little bit more that feel pay to win when actually the sad part is the developers want the opposite. They don't want it to feel pay to win. They don't want pop-ups in your face. But then it's hard to do summons. Have you noticed the way if people talk about the legendaries? I think people want the golden shiny, the dopamine. And I think that's where a lot of there is some negativity for sure with the idea of this game's pay to win because it's hard to get legendaries. Have you
Mhm.
noticed that or heard that kind of feedback
I
or what are your
haven't
thoughts?
I haven't heard so much of that. I would say there's pretty
Oh,
good
good.
interest. I've got a Dragonair section in my Discord that stays pretty active. It would probably be doing better if I could get my alliance to level 2 so I could start inviting people to the alliance, but I'm kind of stuck there. Uh, my complaints that I've heard about the game mostly have to do with uh, progressing through the storyline and there being too much text for some people's
Yeah,
liking. It can be a lot. There's moments even where I'm just kind of on my space bar, like, can I just get to the next thing?
that's true.
But
I They don't really have a story skip option like some games do they?
yeah, you can set it to autoplay, but it's still gonna do it at its own pace. And it's like, look, I appreciate the effort you put into this, but it's just not for me. I just want to build my champs and stuff.
Yeah,
So yeah, as far as the summons and legendaries and stuff, I think I'm just not deep enough into the game to feel that.
that's
And
true.
again, coming from Summoner's War, which is a very generous game now, when Summoner's War started, it was brutal. So I am well accustomed to not pulling legendaries and having to make it work without them, which I
And
think is where a lot of my
raid can
yeah,
be like
yeah,
that too. It can take a while to get your first legendaries in raid.
yeah. So my style kind of comes from making it work with what I pull. I've never been a big fan of doing like re-rolls until you get the champ that
I
is
like
great to
that.
start with. So I don't mind. I don't mind not pulling legendaries. It's definitely fun, and I understand why it's aggravating for people to not do it, but it doesn't personally bother me very much.
And I think the difference with this game that the reason I always combat people that say it's pay to win, I'm like, actually it's one of the most free to play friendly games I've played, is the rares and epics are very good. Where some games, like I want to say for the most part, I don't know, even maybe Eternal Evolution or like once you need the eternal you need the SSs or like you need
Hmm.
the highest level. Or in a lot of games, once you start getting the legendaries, you don't touch your rare. Even hell, even Watcher, you barely touch the rares. There's only a couple worth even using in
Yeah.
some content. Where, but this game, like literally, we were and on your over on your channel, which if you guys haven't watched it yet, we did a collab over on his channel regarding talking about some epics. But we kind of talk about some rares too, and there's some rares and epics that are just as good or better than legendaries in a lot of roles. So I like to see that. I think that's important.
Yeah. I think that's extremely important. And it's, again, back to Summoner's War, it's something they did really well, and it kind of
Oh,
set my
good.
expectation for every other game. So, like, I think we briefly mentioned Awakened Chaos Era, and they just
Yeah,
abandoned the rares. They stopped adding
they
rares. And I was like, you
did.
can't just pretend they don't exist So yeah, I appreciate when games balance it across the board so that everybody can play.
And even
You know what I
Watcher,
mean?
that's probably a good criticism of them. They don't really add epics and rares. Like they say they do. Oh yeah, we're adding them. No, you don't. Where are they? And then they added like 4
Yeah,
epics on and they're not coming to the game anytime soon. It's like they're on the Forerunner server.
yeah,
And I was like, "What? We need these epics. Why aren't they coming?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we gotta test them first."
yeah.
But
And then the
that,
rares that are usable in Watcher are mostly just for cheese. I don't know of any that you
yes,
just place
that's
down and use. It's all cheesy stuff.
yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess Autumn would be the only one that like is a good
Yeah,
buffer, but still, it's like this one you genuinely need a lot of the rares in the game, which I think is really cool overall. So you've been how long have you been playing like or how far into the game are you, I should say?
I just beat. I think the last significant thing I did was beat the ooze monster
Oh
in
yeah,
the
that's
story.
annoying, right? It's a
Yes, it was
multi-day thing.
very annoying. I had to do a lot of goblin level 3 farming, goblin stage 3 farming to get my champs ready for that.
Yeah, that's a tough one, and people get so confused because they're like, "But I can't beat it." I'm like, "Have you got all the stones yet?" I'm like, "No, I'm like, just wait, just get the stones every day, and then wait until you get all of them because it's not
Yeah.
fun without the boosts."
The thing that made the biggest difference for me was changing my character.
Oh
What do we refer
yes.
to that as, by the way? Just my character? Is there a
I
name for
think
that in this
okay,
game?
it used to be called Adventurer, now it's called the Traveler. I think. Let me pull her up. Where's my Traveler?
Traveler. Okay, I changed my traveler to ice, and
Yes,
that
that's
helped
huge.
tremendously.
And what one thing that that's one of the big tips I gave early on in season 1, like say, something as simple as the first green dragon battles that you go through and that first weekly boss. If you're having trouble with survivability, you just make your traveler the ice traveler, and then all of a sudden she puts up shields and you can survive. Like that's kind of huge. And the shields actually scale on attack. So like I love the traveler. The main character in this game is actually pretty versatile
Hmm.
and probably should be what most people in season 1, the one character they max out first should be your traveler because you can switch them between the different elements as you have to do different tasks. So it really comes in handy.
Was all that stuff? Is all that like default character customization options, or did you unlock some stuff as you played?
This is all the default stuff. Yeah.
All right, that's really cool looking. I'm not happy with mine. I want to redo mine.
But yeah, luckily
I tried to
when
get
you go
funky.
to another season, you'll get a mirror. There's like something in like the season rewards settlement, and you can like completely change your main character. So.
Okay, good. Yeah, I want to redo because I tried to get funky and make a lizard folk, and it
Oh
just looks like a
yeah,
weird, scrawny lizard in a dress, and I don't like it.
I agree. I switched to the lizard in season 1, and I didn't like it either. After all, I was like, it just looks weird. But I kind
Yeah,
of like the. I made myself
yeah,
a
that's a cool
redhead
looking
punk
champ.
rock looking girl. That was really fun with some crazy dark makeup for the test server. Oh man. But yeah, that's part of the fun, right? There's a lot of customization in this. And the graphics are strong like we said.
Hmm.
Uh what do you think about the beginning though with the character customization? I kind of feel like it's lacking like okay, we have a female human, where's the male human? We have a male elf, where's the female elf? Like I feel like they need a little more options.
It seems weird to implement the system and then to do like because it's a great idea. I think most people
Yeah.
that play these games, something they've probably wanted for a long time was the ability to make and customize your own character. So I think it's a fabulous idea, but I don't know why you would implement it halfway. That seems
Yeah,
strange.
I feel that too. All right, now what do you think would be some of the most confusing aspects of the game so far? Like I'm curious about like what have you run into that I think you think new players need more information on maybe or like what's stumped you? Is there anything you can
Uh,
think of that?
One big question is this: the page you were just on, the attributes. Is there
Yeah.
a meta way to go there, or is that just preference? Is that mostly for dice rolls, or like
This
what's that
is the
affecting?
dice rolls, but they do affect things in game. But most of it's not that big of a deal. Like strength is when you click and roll, and if you can move something. If you fail, you just click it again. No big deal, whatever. It also has to do with the ore that you get. You get bonus ore from forging your artifacts if you have high strength, but you don't need that extra ore. You always have way too much. Intelligence helps you to craft more cooking consumables, so that can be really helpful early on, especially. Consumables are massive to be able to push content, or 3-star. If you're having trouble 3-starring goblin, make a bunch of consumables, or if you're stuck in a dungeon where you need some resistance, have a resistance consumable, and intelligence can help you do more of that. But yeah, I like dexterity for stealing. I always like the steal option's a fun way to get resources cheap, free, for sure. I kind of like that. And some of the stuff like that's annoying, like the quests for collecting the poetry pages. Like there's a couple times you have to steal those. That's the only option. So if you have low dexterity, it might take a couple tries, but it's not extremely important. Like it's not going to overly affect your story or your gameplay. Eventually, you probably won't even touch consumables or like, for example. So it doesn't really matter. Too bad.
All right. How about the thing on I think your thing on the bottom right's different. No, it looks the same. Okay, yeah. That I'll be able to max all the way out, so I'm not like making choices.
Yeah, I mean, if you play actively, you definitely have to grind well to do it, though.
Okay.
You definitely have to. If you're an active daily player and you're doing all the content, you're in an alliance that's active and you're getting those daily bonuses, you'll have no trouble. Like I have 593,000 extra this season.
Wow.
So this is what, like, if you're in a, this is what can happen, but depending on how active. But yeah, you definitely want to kind of get a feel of what your main core synergy is going to be. Like, if it's kind of, you probably will base it off of something like, who are you going to use as your main Vortex team? Because that should be the thing you probably push for the highest level bonuses. Like for me, this in season 2, I really loved or season 1 and season 2, I loved the Frost heroes. And season 2 added Ice Blast, so they're both ice. Perfect. So like pushing ice, one for the AoE, one for the single target boss damage, just made sense, as my first thing to push. But you definitely want to pick a couple that are going to be your focus to go all the way with, because the big damage bonuses at the end are going to be way more impactful than maxing out everything else in between.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else I've been stumped by. Like, other than just hitting a battle that I can't beat and having to play around with my positioning or go level up my champs, I don't feel like there's been anything that's
good.
Truly stumped me. It's pretty good about walking me through most stuff, I think.
I guess I got the good. Okay, favorites and least favorites. So, of the game, what would you say? Number one things that would draw you in and make you want to keep playing, and then the things that would push you away and make you say never mind. I guess that's a good way to kind of wrap up the ideas of your thoughts on this game. I kind of want to.
Yeah, I would say favorite. I really like the battle system. I think the battle system is a lot of fun. I think I haven't played a game that quite does it this way. I've played some things that do similar things, but between the placements and the way that the champs work and all the synergies and just all of it combined, I think they did a really good job on the battle system. It feels much more like I'm actively playing. More akin to maybe Watcher of Realms than something like Raid or Summoner's War, where they're still fun in their own way, but this feels much more interesting. I feel like there's a lot more opportunities.
Really matter. Yeah.
There's been times where I've moved 2 champs into different spots, and a fight that I got skunked in, I won easily just because I made some minor tweaks. So I think that's really interesting and fun, and I'm excited to continue to see that develop as I push through the game.
Nice.
Least favorite?
Would that be the story stuff? The fact that you can't skip, maybe?
It might be. Maybe give me a skip or a fast forward sometimes to the story stuff, because it's just not for me. Again, some people I know love it, but it's not. I want to get to this stuff. I want to push my dungeons and build my champs.
That's what I had Fastidious on the channel, who also had a sponsorship with Dragonheir, and that was his biggest critique too. He's like, I don't like how long it takes to go through that stuff. I just want to get into the actual like team building and stuff. I do wish that it's hard because like that's their bread, like that's what they love. You could tell they put a lot of passion
Yeah,
into that. So they don't want people to skip the story because that's the hard work they put into it. But they also
yeah,
have to recognize that not everybody cares, and that's just the reality.
yeah. I appreciate it, and I'm sure it's great. And I try to be careful not to like say that I think it's bad because I don't. It's just I'm not the audience
That's
personally for
fair.
that.
Like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And I think the way that they should do it is have a full skip feature, but then also have a gallery or a library where you can go relive those stories if you want to later. Because there's so many
definitely.
times where in the first few days, the first week, a new season starts, or when I first started the game, a new account, whatever, you just want to grind. You want to go. You want to get to the content as fast as you can. You want to push to the end of the limit you can and keep up with everybody else on your server or whatever for the sake of the competition. But if you actually want to genuinely enjoy the story at the same time, you can't. You can't do both. You can't you
Yeah,
can't genuinely read every single or listen to every single thing about the story and still keep up with the rest of your server. You're going to fall behind. So it's like you're kind of feel forced to skip in order to keep up with your competition. And I don't like that.
yeah,
I wish there was a way like, well, I really want to read that story. That story sounded fun. Can I go back and read that? You can't. Like I wish there was a way
yeah. That's a
to go
bummer.
back and relive some things or just, yeah, watch it later.
Yeah, yeah,
I love this battle though. It's super cool, isn't it? They think they did a good job with this new D&D collab. It looks fun.
yeah. Yeah,
Again,
it's fun.
graphics.
I did the campaign yesterday, and I think another thing I think they do really well is that you're not excluded from this stuff for being new. They just ends up to the level that they need to be to participate. I think that's a fantastic
It's
simple
true.
thing to do that I think has been overlooked for a long time because most other games I play, if you're too new, you just are out of luck. You don't get to participate in this stuff. So
Yeah,
I
like
think
what
that's
we're
great.
doing right now, this battle is one where all your characters are level 100 and they don't have gear or artifacts influencing them. The only thing that does influence is if you have them skilled up or not. But at least it allows you to not feel, yeah, like you can't, like just the right combination of characters, including all rares, as some content creators have already been posting videos on only using rares to get the max damage in this battle. Like, it is good. It does. I love when games actually do that because you're right. Not many do give you that any sort of competition where you could feel like you just started and you have a chance to really play. I that's
Yeah. Yeah, because this is a cool collab, so it would be a real bummer
yeah,
for so many players to not get to participate in it. Just have to
it's
watch.
true. Very true. Alrighty. Well, any final Dragonair thoughts? What do you recommend to
Uh,
the audience, or what do you want? Yeah. What? Any final thoughts? I guess.
Um, I think if you're not playing it and you're in the market for an extra game in the rotation, I think it's well worth checking out. I'm glad
Good.
that the sponsorship got worked out so that I did check it out because I am legitimately enjoying it. So
Oh, good. I'm glad to
it's
hear.
definitely yeah, it's definitely worth a look. It's going to be very different than anything you've played if you're an avid mobile gamer. I think it stands out pretty so.
Cool.
Definitely give it a go.
Alrighty. Well, I really appreciate you coming on my channel. Finally, it's been forever, and I'm on the Slacker. I've been wanting to collab with you for forever. I never did with Raid. I've always adored your content. You're super funny. You're fun. Great content as always. So I'm sure
Thank
everybody
you.
already knows who you are if they're from Raid. But if you're not, guys, go check him out. And I'll link the comedy and other fun stuff too, right? Why not?
All right, I appreciate it.
But all right, thank you for joining me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video.